Hi, my name is Greg Keene. I want to welcome you to Toasted Soul. Toasted Soul is a podcast hosted by me, Greg Keene. Toasted Soul will be exploring technology news, business news, and just general rants on life. Let's get into it.
Hey guys, welcome back to Toasted Soul. Today I have with me Othneil, known Othneil since York University. So Othneil, tell us something about you.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me, Greg. This is good. Glad to have this conversation. Let me see. So, you said we've known each other since York University. So, I went to York University, graduated in 2008. It was the best 5 years of my life. I know you're supposed to finish school in 4. I did 5. An amazing experience. Met a lot of great people, including Greg. I met my wife at York University. After I left York, I got a few jobs in not-for-profit and government. Eventually, I got married to this woman I met at York University. We have 3 kids currently, and I live in Whitby. And currently, I'm a realtor. So I made a career switch a few years ago, and I've been doing that. So it's been good. It's been a good journey. I've learned a lot over the years, and yeah, it's been a good. I can't complain.
Yeah, I see your videos on Instagram, getting really good information out there about real estate. What is it that appeals to you about real estate?
What appeals to me, I think, I gotta be honest, is the money, right? I think in terms of like something that can transform not only the person, the professional real estate agent, but like a family and transform like generations to come and really change the trajectory of your family. Real estate is that thing. If a family buys a home, let's say you had, your parents bought a home 15 years ago. That home has now doubled in value. There's so much equity in that home, aside from even what they paid down. Again, so there's so much equity that can be taken out, given to the kids to buy their own properties. And so you start this new trajectory with your family where you're actually building wealth just simply by buying a place to live, like purchasing the place where you live. So that's what really appeals to me about real estate. It's almost like in a very short time, you're able to transform the trajectory of your life if you're doing it as a career. And if a family buys a home, they're able to transform the trajectory of their family just by purchasing that home, living in it, taking care of it, and eventually, selling it down the line or taking equity out and giving it to the kids. So that's what appeals to me, like the ability that real estate has to transform lives. That's what really appeals to me.
Oh, wow. That's a good answer. So I've seen articles where they say that today's generation or the millennials can't afford homes or they're not buying homes. Is that what you're seeing out there on the ground?
Yeah, because it's exceptionally expensive. Like it's ridiculously expensive to get into the real estate market, specifically in the GTA. Like I said, if your family bought a home a few years ago, like 15 years ago, they could get a nice, good sized home for about 200, 300,000, even within the city limits. You might have to go to Scarborough or like, deep in the West End, but still you would be within the city limits for 300,000. That's practically impossible today. Yeah. And we haven't earned, and we're not earning double the money. If you're working, you're not earning double what someone 15 years ago was earning. So, I mean, I would say the people, that bought 15, 20, 30 years ago, they have definitely won in the real estate game. It's a lot more difficult to get into it now as millennials or people just starting out, but there are creative ways to get in. One thing I suggest to people is to consider moving further outside the city. So you're not going to get a home in, on the Danforth or, some other places within city limits. Like the starting point is just too high. But if you were to move to Whitby, Oshawa, Bowmanville, Milton, areas outside the city, there's still an opportunity to get into the market there. It's still expensive, but you with creative ways you can get in and, start building that equity. So it's definitely harder, but it's not impossible, but it is harder.
But so you're saying that people should definitely go into real estate for all the things that you just mentioned. I think a lot of people though it seems like a lot of people are just comfortable in the city. Like for myself, I'm comfortable in the city. Like
Mhm.
15 years ago when I was looking for a place, yeah, it's like I still wanted to be in the city, and but today I don't care what it takes. I want to stay in the city.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, different strokes for different folks, and I don't blame people for wanting to stay in the city. I think there's a lot of value there, especially you don't have to commute to work. A lot of us work in the city, and so commuting can be a big thing, and that can take a toll on your health and how much time you spend away from your family and all that sort of stuff. I definitely understand, but I think in terms of like the ability to transform your family's life, there's many ways to do it. But what I've found is that real estate is one of those ways that you can do it like relatively quickly. You know what I mean? So, and even if you don't necessarily live in the home that you buy, you can rent it out or something. There's a huge opportunity there to like, rent out a property, watch it build the equity, make some income from the rent. And again, that has transformational abilities, even if you take that approach. Even if you don't yourself go and live in the home, you still have the ability to transform your life through real estate. So,
If someone is interested in talking to you about real estate opportunities, how can you give us a plug, or like how can they reach out to you?
yeah, I'm on Instagram, Othniel Real Estate. I'm email, oldlichmore@gmail.com. You just Google me. I'm on here. You know what I mean? So you can just Google me. But Instagram is.
I'll post all your links in this podcast. I'll definitely see how I can post all that stuff up for you and get that out there. Because yeah, I believe real estate is the best thing for anyone to like really invest into their future. It never goes down, right? And like you said, it's doubled, and our salaries haven't doubled. So yeah, it's probably the best way to like build some sort of wealth.
Yeah, and like
And
as I said, like transform. Like there's so many families that can attest to this fact. Like in they moved to Canada in the 80s or the 90s, in the late 90s or maybe the early 2000s. Sorry, so let me rewind. They moved to Canada and maybe they came as refugees, or they just didn't have a lot of money, so they found themselves in Toronto community housing or something. They were able to scrape some money together through different means in the late 90s, early 2000s, bought a property somewhere in maybe some of the far suburbs of Toronto. So like Rexdale or Scarborough or something. And that property, like I said, if they bought it in the early 2000s, it's doubled what they paid for it, and they're pretty much almost paid off their mortgage. So you got a lot of families where 20 years ago they were living in metro housing, and they're literally right now sitting on $800,000 of equity.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Just ready to be deployed or hand off to kids or whatever the case is. And we're talking about 20 years. Like that's impressive. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of things that family that was in metro housing could do that would pay off that big in 20 years. So
right. So I guess I could class you as an entrepreneur.
yeah.
Are you coming from a family of entrepreneurs? Like, what made you decide to like step out from that, 9 to 5? I'll get a check on Friday as long as I show up.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, do I come from a family of entrepreneurs? No, but I've always been fascinated by it, and yeah, especially in the last maybe last 8 to 10 years, really fascinated by it. I had a period in my career where I kept on going from contract to contract, getting laid off, stuff like that, and I just wasn't satisfied with that, and I kept looking into it, and I've tried different things. I had a podcast at one time that I was trying to monetize, and there are a few other projects I launched into where I was trying to become like an entrepreneur, because I like the idea of taking control of my own destiny and charting my own path. And so that's what kind of got me started. But it's been a difficult road, because like you asked me if I come from a family of entrepreneurs, no. And so the idea of being an entrepreneur is a lot harder than I thought it would be. And like it takes a different mindset altogether than working a full-time job. So I'm still trying to figure it out, and I'm still trying to make my way, and I still have things to learn and ways to really to get my hand around it. But I'm learning. It definitely is a learning process. So, yeah.
Everything is a learning process, but as long as you keep at it, you can only get better. You know what I mean? Practice makes perfect kind of thing.
Right. And you know, like it's and you know the biggest thing, it seems simple, but it's big. And it's this idea that you're gonna take something and ask somebody to buy it, whether it's your own skills and own services or even a product. You'd be surprised, and I did not recognize how hard that is. Like even the other day, I was dealing with a guy that's an electrician. He was doing some work for me, and he's an electrician. He has skills, and he's doing it. And we're friends. And so when it came around for him to tell me what he was going to charge me, he was kind of nervous. He was kind of like shy about it, kind of said it under his breath, like, yeah, you can just give me, 250. And I said, yeah, sure, no problem. Boom, 250. But like that idea of asking somebody for money in return for services or skills that you deliver is like harder than a lot of people realize. So that's one of those things that I'm learning too. So yeah.
Yeah, sales is it's a difficult job. Even when like for me, it's like I do a lot of services, so like technology consulting and stuff like that. And when I give my quote, it's just like sometimes it's just hard to say it because it's like I think for me, what it is like I feel like I know the value that I bring,
Yeah.
but it's like so it feels so high for me sometimes.
Exactly. Myself too. I recognize it in real estate and telling people what the commission is going to be, and like you just sort of hesitate. But again, you need to have that confidence to say like I deliver value. I
Yeah.
know I'm going to do a good job. This is what you're paying me to do, and this is what this is the remuneration that I'm entitled to. But that's hard, man. I would say the vast majority of our population or society cannot like make that pitch, say, hey, this is what it's worth, pay me. Would much rather sit in an office and get that paycheck deposited. No questions asked.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to do, but it's part of the whole business. You know what I mean? You got to get into that business mindset and say, my value is worth this much. Like I've been in tech since forever, so I know my value. Like if you ask me about something, I can definitely help you on it when it comes to tech. But it's just like I hope this person like I know I feel this. I'm like I hope this person doesn't feel. I hope they can afford it because it feels high to me. But I know it's still well within industry guidelines kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And it's valuable to them. Like you were solving the problem that they have. And it was so back to the electrician, this guy did a lot of work for me. Like I mean it wasn't difficult work for him. But the value, all he did was install some light fixtures for me, a smoke alarm and stuff like that. But like it was easy for him, hard for me. I didn't want to touch it, although I probably could have watched some YouTube videos. But it was so valuable to me. I didn't care what he was going to charge me. I knew it was going to be within a certain range, but I didn't really care. But like again, it's valuable to me, so I was willing to pay.
So with all the stuff that's going on right now, like COVID and Black Lives Matter and just everything, how you handling everything? What's going on?
It's interesting. Like for me personally, I've reduced my media consumption like significantly in the last month, 2 months, because when we first got like that sort of lockdown and all the social distancing measures, I was sort of following the news every day, figuring out how many cases, stuff like that. Eventually, I stopped listening to it because all that sort of stuff I found gets into your mind, keeps you up at night, gets you worried about the future. All I can do is focus on what I can control, right? And so as far as real estate, I can be honest with you. When COVID hit, a lot of people that I was working with, or a few people I was working with, actually saw an opportunity to get into, they were buyers, opportunity to get into the market because everybody was sort of staying away and stuff. And I actually had one client get into the market, like actually purchase a home late April, early May, because of COVID. People sort of stayed away and they were able to get a home at a good value. And so that has been my mindset, as I said, since about a month in. Only going to focus on what I can control. Going to sort of block out all the noise because there's so much news coming at you every single day, especially when it comes to COVID. And so much things that can get you twisted. You read about the markets doing this, prices are falling, blah, 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 blah. That wasn't my experience. When I was out there working with clients, as far as real estate was concerned, prices were going up, the market was still active, nobody was scared, right? So then by listening to the news was only polluting my mind and taking away my focus. So that's how I've been handling COVID in particular, just kind of blocking it out, staying focused on what I can do and going in that direction. As far as like everything with the murder of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement, I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't seen the George Floyd video. Like, I didn't actually get around to watching it because I've really, as I said, reduced my media consumption in the last months. I didn't see the video, but I knew what the game was. Like, I saw the video of all the other guys, Mike Brown, Eric Gardner, Randall Castile, and stuff. So I know what the deal is. Like, the cops out here killing people. So that wasn't it. But I've always been somewhat of an activist, somewhat of an advocate, and you know that from my time at York University. We're heavily involved in the Black Students Association. So for me, I was just grateful to see so many other voices enter into the conversation and so many other people taking up arms, as it were, and joining the fight. A fight that I got to be honest with you, it's a fight that I kind of lost. I lost some of the momentum in my life, just being consumed with being a father, a husband, trying to build a career. I didn't have a lot of that momentum, but I have to say, from what I've been seeing in the media that I do consume, I'm very excited by what I'm hearing and what people are saying and how the conversation is being approached and stuff like that. And that change might come, and that I feel like people are focused on, like, quote unquote, the true enemy this time. Whereas in the past, we got confused with different things. Well, what did he say? What did the cops say before? Was he really racist? Blah, blah, blah. I feel like people are focused on the issue at hand, an issue that I've been very familiar with for a long time. And so, with all this stuff happening, I'm grateful for that. And to be a little bit additionally long-winded here, does the killing of George Floyd affect me personally? Like, a lot of people have been talking about their own mental health and their own trauma and stuff like that. Me personally, I didn't take it that personal. Like, I'm familiar with the issues out there, and I'm ready and willing to fight for the issues out there. But the actual killing of George Floyd, I do put some distance between myself and that. I empathize for him and his family, but I don't take it in as almost as personal as I think some of my other brothers and sisters do. So
I think the reason some people, a lot of Black men are taking it personal is because we're not even looking at it as George Floyd, the person. I mean, like, we recognize as George Floyd, but we also are able to project our face onto his face and just imagine the reason this man is going through this right now. It's not because of the content of his character, but rather the color of his skin. And my skin color is exactly the same. You know what I mean? So that's what some people probably are looking at it as. It's unfortunate. You're exactly right. Like, our hearts go out to his family and his friends. But from such an unfortunate circumstance, we're going to hopefully get something. I keep telling people that I don't believe there's going to be much change. Like, yeah, cops are kneeling and the senators are wearing kente cloths.
I saw that.
I don't think anything's going to change. It's been a war. Now we're seeing that everybody's like, oh, there is all these Black people weren't lying all these years. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, well, we'll see. You never know. It's crazy, and it's good that technology is able to spread the word and finally get a little louder voice. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and like I said, I really believe a lot of people. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the commentator was saying what's different this time is again, the voices that are in the street too. He said he saw a video of the cops throwing a white woman across the street. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa! In the years gone by, whenever you had these Black Lives Matter protests, you would have the cops beating up on Black people, and it was just kind of par for the course. Oh yeah, Black people getting beat up. But now the white people are getting beat up, and it's they're out there fighting. People from South Africa, white South Africans are out there fighting. A lot of people are out in the streets making their voices heard, and they're feeling that sort of resistance as well, and they're not going to take it. And even some of the statements that a lot of these corporations are putting out, they're a little more edgy than they used to be. Before, I think a lot of these statements try to, play both sides of the fence. Well, there are good people on both sides. Cops are good. Blue lives matter. I think a lot of the corporations are being less equivocal, like they're not saying it's equal. They're being clear that Black lives do matter, and like what the cops did was wrong, and there should be some sort of consequence for that. So I think there's been a change. What will eventually come of it, we're not sure. I think also Trump has like activated a lot of people. Like a lot of people are pissed off about Trump and how he gets done. And I think that's really activated a lot of people to get out there too and in resistance. So we'll see what eventually comes off it. But I think things look a little different. That's my perspective.
Yeah, things do definitely look a little different. Trump is another story. I blows my mind. I don't get him at all. And I used to think that I'm like, am I watching, or am I taking in the wrong news? You know what I mean? Because it's like I listen to him and I don't think what I'm watching is edited in any way, like when he's speaking, and I know that's a lie, right? And I know that's all BS, and I know that he's not saying words right now. But then the other side is there's like, well, this is what he meant when he said this. He's a 70-some-odd-year-old man. How is it that he doesn't know how to speak and say what he means?
Exactly.
Right? So why is it that this base has to come back and say, well, when he said that he hates blah, or when he says that this is what he meant? No, I'm a grown man. Don't tell me what he meant. I heard what he said. That's what he meant, right?
Exactly.
And if he can't speak, he shouldn't be a president. So it's insane. Like Trump, he doesn't give a damn. And you know why he doesn't give a damn? Because he's gotten there and he's allowed to do anything, basically. Like, I see Trump as unstoppable because all the stuff that he's done so far has all been criminal acts, literal criminal acts. And he's gotten away with it because his Republican support, they just put up a blind eye. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is bad. Like, that's why I'm really interested in, have you heard that John Bolton's got a new book out?
Yes, I did see that. So but these the insider guys have been coming out. There was another guy that wrote was it John Bolton? He was supposed to testify in the impeachment trial, but they kind of blocked it. It was him, right?
Yeah. He wrote a book, and the book is supposed to launch next week.
Yeah.
I was watching a news brief, whatever, and Barr is like, he's like, yeah, we're gonna block that book. And the reporter's like, it's already been printed. Like, and then I turned to Stephen Colbert, and he has the book. So it's like it's late. Book launches next week. So I'm curious to see what's in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently it's really damning to the Trump administration.
We always knew, we know what Trump is, and you're right. It's so surprising that he's able to like get away with this like brazenness and this like lack of shame. I've never seen another person in such high office, aside from like crazy dictators, like like guys like the guy.
Be a dictator though, you know that, right?
Yes.
Like, I want my army to march down the street. That's dictatorship, right? That's what they do. That's their thing.
Exactly. Like power, just always enforcing power. Like the guy in the Philippines, or the Corte or something, or the guy in Turkey, Erdogan, and stuff like that. Like that's how these guys think, and that's how he gets down. Like power, force, and just like no shame, doesn't care, says anything, does anything, and people just roll with it. So I think this time's coming to an end. A lot of people aren't so optimistic, but I think America is sick of him. Like, this guy's an idiot, and he's like an idiot, a shameless idiot. And so like there's only so much of that you could take. So
yeah, but his base he's like his base, like a redneck, like just sitting on a couch drinking beer kind of style.
Yeah.
And that's his base. And they don't understand, like, this is wrong. Like, what he just did there is wrong. Like, he's affecting your country's like stance in the entire world. And like the safety of your freaking country is at his hand, and he's playing with it. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And like and Trump only cares about Trump, right? Which is the crazy thing.
Yeah.
He cares about nothing else and no one else but himself. Every single topic that he tries to talk about or broach eventually comes back to him. And his
it comes back to him, It comes back to him and Obama.
Yeah, his nemesis and him. It's either one or the other. Pick a side, So he's wild, man. But like I said, I think his time's up. But we'll see, because they're speculating that he won't even want to leave office. Like, he'll say the election was rigged, it was a hoax, blah blah blah, and stay in office. So it's
Yeah,
interesting,
and I think that's what he's ramping up towards, right?
Yeah.
Like, he has to win. Like, my theory is that he has to win, because as soon as he gets out of office, they're gonna indict him.
Yeah.
So as long as he stays in office, he won't get indicted. So, and then by the time he comes out, if he gets a second term, he'll be so old it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
I said something about like the military. Biden. He's not even. I don't know why they chose Biden to be the lead guy, because he's not there. Like, you know what I mean? He's like,
He's old man too.
Yeah, he left.
But the thing is, I think the thing about Biden is that he's safe. Apparently, black people like him, maybe because of his association to Obama. So he's safe. He can, be a white man, but talk like, like a millennial, like in the sense like he's a white man that makes him palatable to a certain audience. But then, he can be influenced, because he's changed his tone on a lot of different topics, a lot of different perspectives that he had previously.
Yeah.
So he's obviously listening to a certain constituents. I know he's thinking about either Kamala Harris or Stacey Abrams as like a vice president candidate, 2 black women. So you know what I mean. He's thinking in the right way, I think, but he's palatable to a certain audience. I think that's why they picked him.
I'd be great if he does get in and he takes one of those ladies as second in command kind of thing. That'd be momentous. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, like, American politics it's become a joke. It's funny watching now, and in our politics, like Trudeau, like the last thing I saw with Trudeau was what did they ask him, and he took forever to answer. It was something about Black Lives, I think, and he took forever to answer. It was like this long, pregnant pause. It was like. I know why he did it, but it was just like, whoa, here we go. It's cool.
That's true though, man. He's tries to be very thoughtful, and I think that's admirable. Sometimes I think he can be a little bit like sanctimonious, like a little bit too like, do-gooder kind of thing, always trying to say the right thing or the right thing in 2020. And I think that trips him up sometimes, because people will call him out like, yo, what are you saying? Like, you're not actually saying anything. You're just trying to say the right thing. You're not actually making a point or taking a position, right? And I think every now and then he'll get called out on that. But generally speaking, I think it would appear that he's doing a good job. I know yesterday, Jugmeat got thrown out of the parliament because he called someone a racist, and they asked him to apologize, and he said no. So that's interesting what's happening there. And that's what I mean too. Sorry, I'm going off topic here, but I think the climate is changing. Like, there's certain things that people are saying now, like the fact that Jugmeat called the I think it was the Black Quebecois leader a racist, and then they asked him to apologize, and he said no. I think Jugmeat is emboldened by like how Canada thinks about these things. A certain demographic, young people will stand behind him on that, and he feels bold enough to say something like that. And that's what I feel like is changing enough. You know what I mean? People are seeing that and go, oh, okay, things are changing. You can actually speak up now. You can live with the consequences, and maybe something will change. So it's interesting.
I think our politics is becoming more like some of those like Italian or Nigerian politicians where they're like fighting in the aisles and stuff.
Fight each other and stuff. Yeah, it can't get to. I think the parliamentary system is kind of designed for that. They can get wild. Like, if you ever watch like English Parliament, they cuss each other out. They say the wildest things and stuff like that. So it's entertaining at times. So it's good. At the very least, it's entertaining.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what is what tech? If I saw you on the street today and you're walking down the street, what kind of tech would I find in your pocket?
Okay. Well, the iPhone, number one, and I'll swear by the iPhone. I know, and I think you and I had this conversation one time, because I know you were an Android fan. I'm not sure if you still are.
Yeah.
But, the iPhone, I used to have the Android, the Note, the Galaxy Note, from 2012 to 2016. But in 2016, I had the Note 4, I think it was, and just stopped working after a year and a half. I took it to like even like Pacific Mall and stuff. These guys were like, "Yeah, that's dead. Just throw it out. It was trash." And so I got the iPhone, and I haven't looked back since. I love it. I love like the functionality. I love like the apps, like how the apps work. Everything. Love everything about it. So that's the iPhone always with me. I got the AirPods that go with the iPhone. That's always with me. And I've been thinking about getting an Apple Watch. I haven't made the plunges yet, but that's something definitely I would consider getting the Apple Watch. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm pretty low tech. I'm not as cool as I used to be. So
I don't think any of us are.
exactly. But like I swear by the iPhone. I swear by the iPhone. You know what I mean? I think it does everything excellent.
Yeah.
And, like I think that's the only tech you actually need. Get the iPhone.
Yeah, I keep hearing that. Like when I ask this question to the people I talk to, they always say about the iPhone, or like even people have had Androids before, and it's usually a Samsung they had before, and then when they switch over to the Apple, they're like, "Oh my God, it's amazing!" And I think if your Samsung people had switched to like a Google phone, you'd have had the same experience. Right?
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I just find, I guess that's the thing, because I found like, obviously the Samsung had a lot of bloatware. Like there was just all these apps and stuff on it that you'll never use for no reason.
You don't need, yeah.
Exactly. It was like duplicating what what came with the Android operating system. Yeah, so that was one issue. But what I find with the iPhone is that everything works. Like I feel like everything was designed primarily for the iPhone, and I could be wrong on that. And then a lot of things kind of migrated over to the Android. But like, I feel like whoever develops apps for the iPhone, there's a certain like emphasis on making sure that it's fully functional on the iPhone. But again, I could be wrong in terms of how it works on the Android, but I just find that it's better on the iPhone.
Well, I find it seamless on my Android device. I use mainly like the Google services though, and they just, how Apple people say, it just works. It just works, right?
Okay. Good.
Yeah, as long as you're not downloading any crazy apps, you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. Does it still, the Google phone still has that? Because I know people like Androids because you can do a lot of like modifications and add this in and do that. The Google phone has that same
full customization. Yeah, you can do whatever it is that you want. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So another one here is what makes you successful, or how do you calculate success?
How do I calculate success? Like I think, like I said, in the last few years, maybe since I started having kids, 2013, that has been my focus. Family has been my focus, and like sort of building everything in service and in support of my family. I look at my kids as like my greatest legacy. And so everything I do is sort of directed towards making sure that like I'm giving them the tools for success, or I'm providing them with a certain, with a certain lifestyle that is like aligned with success. And so that's sort of how I look at it. It's like, if my kids, when everybody's older and the kids get older and stuff, if they can turn around and like be grateful for what I did, then that would be the ultimate success for me. If they resent me for like not being like working too much or like not being there for them, that would absolutely break my heart. So it's really, as I said, success for me is like the ultimate outcome of my family, where my family ends up and stuff like that. My kids, my wife, my parents, stuff like that. If in the end I have made their lives better and their lives more fruitful, then I am successful. I know that's kind of like a highfalutin answer, like not a very
practical answer, man. That's an awesome answer.
Yeah. So and I do think it takes money to do that, and so I'm very in tune with the idea that money makes this thing work, right? I'm not gonna tell you that money doesn't make you happy. Of course, money doesn't make you happy, but like, being broke is not fun, and not having money to do the things that you want to do, that's not fun either, and that doesn't make you happy, and that keeps you up at night and stuff like that. So, in terms of success, I do measure some amount of success with how much money you can make. I will say that. I'm unapologetic about that. So yeah, I want to get money too, as much. I'm saying
Money and family, that's where it's at for sure.
exactly.
So I'm just gonna ask you one more question, and I think you like this one, so I'll ask it to you.
Yeah.
So, okay, say some shit that they're gonna quote you out of context when they come for you.
I think it's funny. I think I just said it. I like money, like money. Like, what does Othniel think about money, and what do he thinks the purpose of money is? Because I think, in recent time, like I feel like a lot of people are trying to be good people, and they're trying to present an image of being a good person online, in particular on social media. Everybody wants to be a good person. They want to be seen as a charitable person, a caring person, a person that is conscious of other people's feelings and stuff like that. And to me, sometimes I think that is like, it's almost pretentious and it's performative in a sense, and I don't particularly buy into it. I'm not really performative on the whole being a good person kind of thing. And so I think, yeah, people might hear me talk about money. They might hear me talk about, like, like, yeah, money and building a career and having enough money to do things, and feel as though I don't care about people anymore. I don't care about charity, and I don't care about, like, being a good person. And I think I'll get misquoted on that. Like I said, I think, like I said, being broke is not fun. Not have enough money to take care of your family and give your family a really good life is not a good thing. That's not admirable. And so, yeah, I think, yeah, they're gonna misquote me on my views about money, like money and, like, the community. Like, I gotta be honest with you, man. Like, a lot of the issues we face in the Black community, where we call out for certain organizations to, like, treat us better or accommodate us and include us, a lot of that would be solved if we just had more money to control the situation. You know what I mean? And create our own situation. Like, we wouldn't have to petition so hard for Afro-focused schools. I forgot what they call it again. Afrocentric school. If we could just create a private Afrocentric school, we had enough money in the community to send 100 kids there every year, tuition free. If we had the money to do that, then we wouldn't have had to spend so much energy and explain to so many people consistently and continuously about the need for an Afrocentric school, if we had the money in the community to do that. And
Right.
so, and that's, I honestly feel that if we had the money to do certain things, our community could control the narrative a little bit better. And so I look at people like myself, people like you, other young Black men out there who are building businesses or building careers. That's one of the greatest contributions we can make to the community, which is, like, build a successful business and then mentor some people under that and have the money to, teach people and expose them to the best technologies and the best programs and all that sort of stuff. But that's some of the greatest contributions we can make, and the way we can make that contribution, if we make enough money to do that. So
Yeah. Money is definitely important, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, money won't buy you happiness." It won't buy you happiness, but it might buy you things that make you happy.
that's true. That's true.
And it's like, when people say, "Yo, Greg, what are you working on?" And I'm like, "I'm working on this project right now, and this is what I envision it to be. The big picture is this." They're like, "Oh, that's gonna be so much money," but I'm like, I'm not really doing it for the money. It's great that money will come, and I live in a society where I need money, but my bigger picture is that I will take that money and hopefully do something with it. So when I leave this place, leave this planet, I have a legacy. Like, I don't have kids like you guys all do, but I want to leave and just know that, on my last breath, I'm like, I did something to help people on a whole, whether it's Black, white, or whatever. Like, of course I have, like, Black consciousness, but, like, I'm not racist. So I want to leave a legacy and I want to help people. And to do that, to elicit any kind of change, you need money. So, like, I think that's what people that are out there right now, like, protesting, they need to realize it's about the money. Like, why do you think things are starting to take place? It's because you're affecting their money. You're burning down the stores and things like that. So Yeah, like we had, like, you hear about stories at Black Wall Street and all these black businesses back in the day until someone came and burnt it all down.
Yeah.
And I think if we can get back to a state like that, or we can get to a state like that where we have black pride and black money, this is when people start listening to you, because
Yeah.
you can affect change. Like, okay, well, we'll take our money and go over here then. It's like, oh, no, no, come back, come back.
Yeah.
And without money, you can't make change. Like, look at Elon Musk alone. He's making so much change, and it's because of money. That's what it comes down to. It's like, oh, I want to go to Mars. Build me a rocket.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's how it is. So it's like, if you want change, you want all this stuff to stop, get the money and just say, do this.
Exactly. Yeah. Because he could have built a lobby, like some kind of organization that continues to petition NASA to like launch a mission to Mars. And it's like, yeah, whatever. He's like, no, I'll build it myself. And you know what I mean? And NASA depends on him now. And that rocket is his rocket. You know what I mean?
Right.
NASA put their astronauts on. So there's something definitely to that. And so obviously there's like different obstacles and barriers that we encounter as Black people and people wanting to make change. So I won't undervalue that. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of discrimination and barriers, but like, which is why, like I said, I put so much emphasis on real estate. It's a very passive way to sort of, again, transform your family's trajectory. Very passive by buying a house, you know what I mean, and having that equity and using that for good. So yeah, you know what I mean, it's a lot of I'm not saying everybody, but a good portion of us should think in those terms of like, let's try to build up over here so we can, you know, do some more heavy lifting over here. And I you know, personally, I believe we need those people on the streets. We need the protesters, but that can't be the entire movement. We need some money as well.
I've been telling a friend of mine, like, to invest and stuff like that, to move towards, because that's what she wants. She wants a house. I'm like, the best thing to do is to start investing your money right now, and it's like, you know, build up some equity, build up some cash kind of thing, so that you have a down payment. Because I think that is the to me, that what I'm seeing is the barrier of entry is the down payment, right? Would I be right by saying that?
Absolutely. Like I said, it's you know, like the minimum down payment now is 5%, but like the average home is like, you know, depending on the area, 700,000, 800,000. We're talking about coming up with $30,000. Where are you gonna get $30,000 from? 35,000.
Yeah,
it's ridiculously hard. So it's the biggest barrier to entry. A lot of people just don't. If you're paying a lot of rent, you just don't have that much like extra income at the end of every month to put towards a down payment. So, like I said, it's definitely an obstacle. I know some people have left the province. You know, some people have gone out west, where at one point the economy was better. They could save more money, you know, work in the oil fields over there, make a lot of money quickly, come back here, do something with it. Sometimes you got to think outside the box, is what I'm saying.
You got to sacrifice sometimes to get the things that you want.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. So yeah, and I think that's a message that we need in the community as well. Like I said, there's room for a lot of different voices, but I mean, there needs to be a voice that talks about, like you said, investing your money, sacrificing, building wealth, like that kind of stuff. And there are those voices, but they're not. I want people to know those aren't contrary to the rest of the movement. You know what I mean? It's in addition to the rest of the movement.
Right. You have to have multiple arms basically working for that one project, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Othneil, this was great. It was nice seeing you again. Great catching up with you. And
absolutely. This was good, man.
Information. Sorry?
No, I said this was good. Like, this is a really good conversation. Like I said, I've been having more and more of these conversations in recent time. I don't have them as much because, like I said, I'm occupied with the kids, the family, and stuff like that. But I thoroughly enjoyed this. This is excellent.
Yeah. So I hope I can, you know, reach out in the future and have you back on. I plan on doing a lot of things with this podcast. I was just talking to a gentleman yesterday, and he just gave me a great idea to have like a group meeting one time where we could all talk about different things. So I would probably have you on as like a small business kind of thing, representing real estate and stuff like that. So look for that. I hope you come back on in the future. And do you want to give another plug of your real estate so people can find you?
No, absolutely. Like I said, Othneil Real Estate on Instagram. Othneil real estate Instagram. You'll see my videos and stuff like that. You can DM me. I always read my DMs. That's how you reached out to me, Greg. Again, you can just Google me. You'll find my email address and stuff. I'm active on Facebook as well. So any one of those channels, and like I try to provide value, right? So if you just follow me and just watch the videos, that's good enough for me. If you're getting some education on real estate, that makes me happy. So
All right, guys. That was Othneil. And Othneil, like I said, I will definitely have you back on. And it was nice seeing you again. And thanks for coming out.
No problem. Good luck with this, Greg.
All right, man. See ya.
All right, take care.
Bye.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of Toasted Soul. Thank you for listening and supporting Toasted Soul. Visit us at toastedsoul.com to leave comments or book guest appearances and to get news on Toasted Soul. Please join us again next week. And as always, live with soul.